audio jungle.
So according to a legendary 18th century mystic, to master our sorrows, we must know how to be fully immersed in emotion, yet not ruled by it. But our families and our culture have taught us the exact opposite of this. On the contrary, we are really taught to suppress and control our emotions. Now, because emotions are essentially energy, they need to find an outlet, they need to find an expression. And failing to do so really just causes the trapped energy to build, and this can become toxic. So, for example, unfelt fear becomes an anxiety disorder. Unfelt sadness can become depression. Unfelt anger and despair can morph into a terrible act of violence, and so on. On a less extreme scale, not owning, not feeling, and not expressing emotions causes us to become strangers to ourselves, numb to our needs, and unable to distinguish right from wrong or draw valid boundaries in relationships because we don't even know how we feel about things. So our ability to live with authenticity and joy are profoundly diminished when we cannot feel our emotions. In fact, Miriam Greenspan, who's author of a book called Healing Through the Dark Emotions, and it's a book that I highly recommend and from which a lot of the wisdom in this blog is drawn. She goes so far as to say that we live in an emotion-phobic society. I mean, the statistics of people taking antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication is testimony to this truth. We dislike our pain so much that we go to doctors to medicate it away. So we need to really shift perception and realize that our emotions are there to protect us. They are not wrong. They really are a red flag calling on us to pay attention to them. And just like a needy child, the clamoring for attention only gets louder when ignored. And crucial to know is that emotions actually live in the body. They are not in our mind, although they often follow on our thoughts. So if you learn to really tune into your emotions, then they can be felt as an actual physical sensation. Most often, kind of in the vicinity of your throat, your heart, your gut. Those are the most common. Now, relationships are feeding grounds for unfelt emotions, and the breakdown of a relationship is an amazing opportunity to befriend your emotions. So when you're feeling terrible, know that as you descend into that abyss, a window of opportunity is opening up to you, an opportunity for a breakthrough in your relationship with your emotions. And I'm going to explain what I mean by way of a personal example. When my father went in for his third open heart operation, he was told by his surgeon that he had a 50% chance of surviving the operation. I recall my small family, my mom, my sister, and myself waiting in the room attached to theatre at the Morningside Clinic. And I remember the way in which I dealt with the fear and anxiety that time. What I did was I went to the chemist and asked if they could supply me with a Valium, which I then took to get me through the 6 or 7 hours of the operation. Now, fast forward 15 years and one of my children is in theatre having a minor operation, not a high-risk operation, but one with, all the usual risks attendant on having an anesthetic and being cut into by a surgeon. And here I am, back in the same waiting room, back with the same feelings of terror welling up inside me. This time, I don't take a Valium. I recognize that I have to feel whatever feelings are coming up for me. So I begin by locating the fear as a physical sensation in my body, and this time it was like something heavy and suffocating sitting on my chest. I focused in on the sensation and just allowed it to be there. I resisted the temptation to check my phone, get a cup of coffee, engage in small talk. And I noticed that the fear comes and it goes, and each time I'm ready to meet it, trying not to make it go away, trying not to fix it, just being with it and physically relaxing into it. And I noticed that within an hour or so it shifted, and I was able to mindfully become aware and witness actually the waves of emotion and the thoughts of disaster that were arising in me, and just be with it, just breathing into it. The best way I can describe it would be to take a phrase from Greenspan's book, in which she said, it was like I was riding the waves of emotion on the surfboard of awareness. And only then, when I kind of brought that element of awareness in, was I able to access a deep wisdom that was waiting to be revealed. What was happening was basically beyond my control. There is a bigger picture at play, and whatever happened, or whatever needed to happen, would happen. And it was just humbling to realize that all I could do was just be present with every fiber of my being. I could feel perhaps just the incredible love that I had for my child in that time, and I realized that on some level this was most likely a call to faith. And as I realized that, a kind of a peace descended on me. And because I wasn't realizing this in my head, I knew this in my head, but I had realized it in my heart. And I realized I had managed to make it to the other side of my fear. And shortly thereafter, my perfectly well child emerged smiling from surgery. I felt a huge sense of achievement that I had done that. And it allowed the tears of joy that I could never have felt had I taken a tranquilizer to flow freely. So being willing to feel our emotions whilst being mindfully aware in the face of what is essentially our powerlessness, in the face of the situations we find ourselves in, carries with it a magical alchemy, an alchemy that carries us to the dawn that is waiting to break beyond our darkest hour. Having been noticed, honored, processed, the right action then automatically follows, the right words follow. And when they do, they come from a space, a powerful and deeply rooted space within you. So if you just come away from today with the slight shift in perception that emotions are there to be honored and felt if they are to work their magic, then that will be enough for this week. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed today's blog. Until we speak again next time. Goodbye.